ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ भद्रं यश्छन्दसा मृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया आस्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदः क्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमदः शाखम् Ashvatham prahuravvyayam Chandamsi yasya parnani Yastam veda sa vedavit Adhaschordvam prasudastasya shakhaha Gunah pravruddha vishaya pravalaha Adhasya mulanyanu-santatani Karmanubandhini manushya-loke Na rupamasyeha tathopalabhyate Nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha Ashvathamenam suvirudhamulam Asanga-shastrena dridhena chitva Yesterday we looked at this tree. The purpose is not to describe the vriksha, the tree of samsara. And though it was described that there is a root and there is a tree, two things were told. There is anga in the form of tree and angi, the roots. But actually root itself is the tree, not even modification. And unfortunately that root is myself. That is the point to be conveyed later on. I am the root of this samsara and I am the samsara. And in other words, there are no two things, root and a tree. If there are no two things, how do you say there are two? Only to tell us what is taken as real is mithya. What is taken, the perceptible world, the samsara is taken as real. To point out that samsara is only nam-rupa, not in reality it doesn't exist. Therefore this discussion was. And that's what he says, na rupa masyeha tathopalabhyate. It is not as it is perceived. From the vastu point of view, if you look at any padartha, anything, it always resolves into something. It has no independent existence of its own. It has no independent reality of its own. Like even our pot. When I say this is a pot, on an inquiry, it resolves into clay. When I say this is a table, on an inquiry, where is table? How does the table exist? First of all, table has existence only because there is wood. Otherwise no existence. So it resolves into wood. The table is only nama-rupam. Pot is only nama-rupam, name and a form. So also the whole jagat as though resolves into panchamahabhutas. Therefore we call it pancha-bhautikam jagat. And Panchamahabhuta also resolves into Sad Brahma on an inquiry. Sadeva Saumya Idamakra Asit. That Sad alone is there manifesting as the world. On an inquiry we find there is no so-called effect. It is the only cause that appears as something different, appears as. So we call it a effect. Otherwise the cause-effect relationship is also not there. You cannot say that rope is a cause for the snake. There is an appearance of a snake. And therefore we impute causeness on the rope. So also there is an appearance of the jagat in the form of nama rupa. So we call this as a Brahman as the cause of jagat. Otherwise it is all mayikam. It is that being mayikam is mithya. As we saw yesterday, that what appears, I appear as Karta, Bhokta, Jivatma. On inquiry, I find I am no more a Karta. I find that I am a mortal. There is no mortality in the self. It is only incidental attribute to me with reference to body. But taking body as myself, I say I was born and I am going to die. It appears that I am within the body, but it is other way round. Body is within the consciousness, not in me. On an inquiry, from the Vastu point of view, Rupam na upalabhyate. It is not as it is appears. The duality is only apparent. Limitations are only apparent. The division of Jad Chetan are only apparent. As such, they are not there. And even from the Vyavaharik point of view, forget about the Vastu point of view, the world as it is, there is nothing finality about the world. You cannot say what is gain and what is loss. From one point of view it is gain, one point of view it is loss. You cannot say this is good or bad. From one point of view it is good, from other point of view it is bad. Though he told, karmani anubandhini loke, the actions are binding, are secondary roots, they bind the jivatma. But the same karma are the means of liberation. That is why we have karma yoga. Karma performed with a proper attitude becomes a means for moksha. Therefore Lord said, yoga karmasu kausala. Karmasu yoga, yoga buddhya krutani karmani mokshaya bhavati tasmat tadeva kausala. So, you cannot say this is how it is. Therefore Shankaracharya ji says, very nice word he says, Marichi udaka Gandharva Swapna Marichi Udaka Maya Gandharva Nagaravat. Like a dream. Means the whole dream is there because of ignorance. The whole plurality is because of the self-ignorance. Marichi Udaka, like mirage water. Fellow keeps running, hoping that he will quench the thirst and get some water. Fellow keeps running, hoping he will quench the thirst of happiness. But never he gets that so-called happiness. Therefore it is said, Marichi Udak. Gandharva Pattanam. Gandharva Pattanam means Drashtanashta Svabhava. Imagine a city, imagine in the clouds. Whole Ragadvesha or value structure is being subjective, is purely imagined. One thinks this will make me happy, other thinks that will make me happy, this will make me unhappy, this is a source of security, this is a source of insecurity, all imagine in the sense, subjective imputations. That being a case, nanto na chadir na cha sampratishta. Since it is mithya, therefore it has no beginning, it has no end and no continuation. Then what he says? Ashwathamenam suvirudha mula. Adi anta is not there because ignorance is always beginningless. You cannot say it started at this point. It is always cyclic. From unmanifest to manifest, from manifest to unmanifest. And every karma is a phalam for the previous karma and every karma becomes a cause for the next phala. Karma phala cycle goes on. This birth is the phalam of previous karma as well as this is the birth for next janma karmas. It is cyclic. Therefore, adi antaha nasti. And even though it is like that, how it is? Suvirudha moolam. The roots are well entrenched. Though it is mithya, but the roots are strong. Why? See, any other type of root can get uprooted by wind or by some water or anything. But there is no strong root other than ignorance. Ignorance is the strongest root which will never ever get uprooted unless one exposes oneself to the knowledge. And not only exposure only, but then till one gains knowledge, that root continues. And the beauty here is, it is suviruda moolam. Very well entrenched, Lord says. Because self-ignorance is something, other day I told you, in case of other objective ignorances, you may stumble upon that particular knowledge. Some incident may trigger a thinking and that ignorance may get removed. Like so many scientists discovered so many things out of a certain accident. Some accident happened and it clicked to them. But this will never happen that. Because what they came to know about, like gravitational law, what he came to know was a phenomenon happening outside him. Apple falling somewhere outside. The thing to be known is myself. It is never outside. So in no which way there is some phenomenon available. As I said, the very seeker denies the sought. Existence of seeker implies that I have denied that I am what I am seeking. And therefore nobody can ever tumble upon Atma by himself. Nobody will say, oh, I saw Atma. He was loitering on Ganges bank and I happened to be there in Chandni. It will never happen. The very seer is Atma. And the worst is, it is not that it is not available also. Ya samvid aham taya ujrumbate. It is there right as I. That I who thinks I am limited, I am little, I am dukhi, that I itself is Atma. So where is the question of getting new Atma? Only thing is, the superimposition has to be removed. That is the whole process. It is self-revealing, self-effulgent consciousness. That being a case, there is ignorance is suviruda. One has to create, unless one has a jignasa, as I told you other day, even if one is forcefully exposed to this teaching by grace of God or by some emotional pleasure, nothing works. Because mind is not ready to receive. Like Puja Swamiji would tell, very beautiful example. He says, this fellow was blind by birth. He had some, he was not blind by birth, and then at childhood developed some problem and became blind. Happened to be a child of very poor family. And the parents were trying to give him this eyesight and contacting all charity institutions, and finally some Lions Club sponsored him that you go to abroad and then so and so doctor will operate you. They send the papers and he says this is curable. And they operated. Obviously after the operation for a couple of days the eyes were kept closed with the bandage and etc. And after that doctor came and doctor said, come on, open the eyes. And this fellow says, please guarantee me that I will see, then only I will open the eyes. It was an American doctor, So he said, most probably you should be seeing. He can't commit, otherwise we will sue him. Whole litigant society, anything you will sue it. So he said, I think you should be able to sue. No, not should be. Tell me that I will see, then only I will open. Doctor says, as per my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge and research and past experiences, and few patients have seen, and you should be able to know. The parents told him, but he said no. Fellow refused to open the eyes. There is a way out. There are special nurses in the hospital, XL size nurses. they will hold him physically. And doctor can open the eyelid. And the fellow can say, oh, I see. But when the mind is closed, how can you open? You cannot open the mind forcefully. Therefore, suviruda moolam. Ajnanam will not go unless taught, and even when taught, that openness being missing, nothing works. And that openness is Shraddha. Therefore, suviruda moolam. All the way suviruda moolam. And then, to this samsara vrukshaha, whose roots are well entrenched, first you have to cut it. Cut it with what? He says, asanga shastrena dradhena sitva. There is a particular axe. Asangata, absence of sanga, absence of attachment. Understand? Attachment is at two levels. The basic attachment is because attachment is in the sense of identification with upadhi. Asangata is atma anatma vivek. Detachment is drigdashya vivek. Seeing myself as different from this physio-psycho complex, self-revealing awareness, that is asangata. That is detachment. As such, there is no physical attachment that has taken place. And therefore there is no physical detachment also. It is lack of discrimination. Or I would say wrong, not only absence of thinking, proper thinking, wrong thinking has gone in to take myself as what I am not. So asangata means a proper thinking to know as to who am I. Disowning what I am not. That is asangata. What I am not, yad drashyam tad naham. Whatever is available for objectification, that I am not. Simple as that. I am the subject. Throughout this, look at it. We live a cognitive life. Our existence is cognitive. All along, I am a knower. What I know keeps changing. In waking state, a human being is constantly a knower. Keep knowing one or the other things. Dream state also, the fellow is knower. The only thing is, in the waking, the objects are created by the Lord. In the dream, the objects are created by himself or herself. In the sleep state also, the fellow is knower. Therefore, having woken up, he says, I had a sound sleep. I did not know anything. That means it was an experience of no experience. This, all the three states, I am always a knower. I am a subject. And for me, the world outside or the world created subjectively is an object. And in sleep, absence of the world is also an object. Absence of my own mind, absence of my own senses, absence of my own world, everything is not there. I know nothing is there. It is an experience of nothingness. Waking and dreams are the experience of something that is an experience of nothingness. I am a knower, the subject. And the subject is always different from the object. This analysis, called as dragdrishya viveka, the subject and object analysis, discrimination, and asserting or owning up what is the real subject, that is called asanga shastra. As far as the objects outside body are concerned, the discrimination is very clear. I am not this. Everybody knows. Nobody takes table as a self or mic as a self. Or sometimes there are certain extra attachment to car and mobile and things like that. If something happens to car, fellow gets a little. If somebody touches, he thinks he is touched by. That is okay. That is abhishvanga. But he doesn't say, I am car. Never says. But there is ahankar, all right. To remove the car from aham, that is drigdrishya. Car makes him car is a moving vehicle to move. That ahankar is moving. As Puja Swamiji would say, the fellow is nomadic. Going from one yoni to other yoni, going from one bhoga to another bhoga, goes on and on. What happens beyond body is subject-object, viveka is clear. But it comes to body, and inside the body, there is a confusion. As such, no one says, I am body. But the attributes of the body are taken as mine. Specifically, no one says, I am body. But the statement that I am male, that is my identification. I am female, I am old, I am young, I am not good looking, I am good looking. All these identifications. Even the state, that means the state of the body is taken as my state. So also the state of the mind is me. There is a dukkhakar vritti, thought form, which is unhappiness, you call it. And that aham identifies with it and says aham dukhi, aham sukhi. But that there is dukkha and that I am dukhi is known to me. Both. There is a body has a pain, is known, and I am having pain is also known. Therefore the fellow goes to doctor. If I who is in pain is not known, he would not have gone to doctor. This viveka, constant viveka, is called asanga shastra. That cuts the vriksha of samsara. And punah punaha viveka vairagyabhya. This is parmarthika sangata. That's what it is said in 3rd chapter. Guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. Na sajjate means saktim na karoti, tadhatmyam na vapnoti. And then he says, in a vyavaharik state, Shankaracharya says, putra mitra vitta lokeshnabhyaha vyutthanam. Vyutthanam means growing out of this dependency in terms of happiness and security for these people. See, the word sangha means ishtatva buddhi. In the 2nd chapter, there are beautiful verses. Some of you might be knowing. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Sangha is a seed for giving rise to kama. Kama means a binding desire. Binding desire means this I must have it to be happy. But then that desire can come only when I look upon that object as a potential source of happiness. That is called ishtatva buddhi. This is something good. This is nice. That kind of decision, that kind of conclusion should take place. That this is nice, that this looks good, that can give me happiness is purely subjective. For whatever reason it comes, that is sangha. That is likes and dislikes, are the seeds for karma. Asangata means neutralizing the likes and dislikes. That is asanga shastra. To make myself free from the holes of likes and dislikes. Making oneself free from the holes of likes and dislikes means seeing the limitations of the objects and beings which I thought to be a source of happiness. And having seen the limitations, one grows out. Exactly like when a person is young or small, there is tremendous sangha for the toys. He or she thinks those toys and Barbie dolls and etc. makes him happy. But after 15 years, he understands that they are no more a source of choice. Seeing the limitations of sensual objects or the situation or people is asanga shastra. In other words, vairagya, dispassion. Understand, dispassion is not an action. Dispassion is understanding. Seeing that there is no connection between what I am looking for in it and what I want actually. The object is incapable of giving me what I am looking for. That is dispassion. So, the bhoga buddhi should go, not bhoga per se. Objects have utility for vyavahara. not imputing any extra value on it. Like car, for example, is itself is not bad. It's a vehicle to transport me from one place to another place. And it may be necessary for me also. The lifestyle I live, the work I do, it is necessary. That's fine. But looking upon that vehicle as a status symbol, that means I am giving the value to the car to make me somebody. My self-esteem, my self-value depends on car. That is called sangha. Imputing extra value. You may have a big car because you need to travel a lot. Nothing wrong in it. But then I look upon the objects as a means for conducting my life. Vyavhara yogyaha eva natu swasukha yogyaha. They are good for conducting life. But not that they can provide me necessary happiness. I should not feel good because of something. I should not be at home with myself because of it something. With or without, I am at home. That is called detachment. Having done that, now, then the next verse it is. Look at that. Now here, there is a last word. Asanga shastrena dradena chitva. This in Sanskrit, tva suffix is added. The tva suffix added implies, in English if you say, having done this, that means there is only one doer who does first one action and then he does the second action. One action is completed and then the second action is to be performed. That is what it is. Now what we say, asanga shastrena dradena chitva, then look at the next verse. What should we be doing? Having developed the necessary dispassion, having developed the necessary detachment, what should one be doing? He says, look at the verse. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravruttih prasruta purani tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravruttih prasruta purani. Chitva, having detached, then tataha. Tataha means thereafter. Padam tat means padam is here is in the sense of end. That end, or padam is in the sense of knowledge. That end should be parimargitavyam, means should be inquired into, should be known. Which end? What is to be achieved? What is to be inquired into? Yasmin gataha bhuyaha na nivartanti. That end, having achieved which, having known which, gataha, yasmin gataha, or gone unto which, do not return again. Na bhuyaha nivartanti. They do not return again. And then he says, prapadye, second line, the first quarter, I surrender. To whom? Purusham prapadye. I surrender to Purusha. Which Purusha? Adi Purusha. I surrender to this Adi Purusha, and eva, tameva, evakara means to him alone, to that Adi Purusha alone I surrender. Who is that Adi Purusha? Yataha, from whom pravrittihi prasruta purani. Pravrittihi purani prasruta. From whom means he is the primeval cause from whom the creation has come forth. That means that Purusha who is the cause of this creation, I surrender unto him. And before that what? For that padam, one should parimargitavyam, one should do anveshanam, one should know, search for, look for that padam, having gone which one doesn't come back, one doesn't return. That means what? Mere detachment or mere vairagya is not enough. Something positive also should be there. Mind is freed from unnecessary attachment. Something should be put into mind. And what? Why? Otherwise later on it may get attached to something else as well. One thing. Secondly, relative quietude is achieved by detachment. When the mind is free from likes and dislikes, the holds of likes and dislikes, relatively it becomes quiet. But a quiet mind not necessarily mean a wiser person. Okay? So wisdom doesn't come by just becoming quiet. As Pujya Swamiji would say, formerly he was agitated idiot, now quiet idiot. Idiot all right. The only difference, idiocy continues. Idiot means jivatma, karta bhokta. That is limited fellow. That continues. In fact, quietude is also a state of mind. Some types of meditation and some activity may help one to gain that quiet mind for some time. But this doesn't solve the problem of samsara. So, what should be done? The mind doesn't become wise. Therefore, he says, tataha. Then, parimargitavyam. Here, we should understand what is parimargitavyam. Why this tavya pratyaya is in a sense of injunction. One must, one should search for, one should look for. The question is, can such injunctions be given? And if given, will it work? Like Yajnavalkya is saying, Atma vare drashtam. You should know yourself. You must know the self. You must look for this. Okay. You must look doesn't mean. Just now I said, unless there is jignasa, it won't work. Even if injunction is given, it doesn't work. See, karma, as they say, is kartrutantra. You can do something deliberately. But knowledge is not kartrutantra. You cannot know deliberately. In other words, I have freedom here. Suppose this is a clip. I have a freedom, kartutantram, to pick up the clip and not to pick up. But I don't have freedom to know it as blue or black or red. It is as it is, I have to know. Knowledge is vastutantram. As per the vastu you have to know. Why this adesha is given? It is to emphasize the importance or rarity of human birth. Very beautifully told in Kena Upanishad, Ihached avedit athasatyamasti, nached ihavedit mahati vinasti. Iha asmin janmani. In Manushya, human birth, said, if you know what yourself, as Brahman, as the Lord, then satyamasti. then the purpose of human birth is fulfilled. Nachediha Vedit, if you do not know, Mahati Vinasti. Great loss. How much loss? Puja Swamiji very nicely says, what is to be known is Purna. Ishvara, that is Purna. Known is not simply knowing that Ishvara is Purna, discovering that I am one with that Purna. So knowing is becoming as though infinite, owning up my infinitude. And if I don't know, that means I miss the infinity. That means loss is also infinite. If this birth, human birth, if I don't know the thing, what I lose, the loss is infinite. Why it is infinite? Because that is yourself. And it is the only birth where buddhi is there. Viveka, capacity to discriminate is there. And this is the only birth where teaching is possible. As per the Shastra, it's only Manushya Loke. And therefore one must strive for this knowledge. Or at least keep this knowledge as a goal of one's life. Therefore the Vidhi is given Tavyaha. Atma, and that he says, Parimargitavyaha. Then Atma Vare Drashtavyaha. Oh Maitreyi, you should know the self. In other words, one should put in necessary effort to pursue the self-knowledge. Now, Tataha means what? Okay, detachment is there. Thereafter self should be known. Because there are so many people who are by nature detached. They are by some samskara. And some are greatly detached because of tamas, like our Indian Prime Minister. He is always detached. He doesn't do anything. Somebody told him कि भाई प्रधानमंत्री जी इतना सब पैसा खा रहे हैं तो आप क्यों बोलते नहीं हो? बोले मेरी माँ ने बोला है कि खाने के टाइम पे बोलना नहीं चाहिए. When so much of corruption is going on, why don't you speak it out? Well, my mother has told me while eating you should keep quiet. So I am just keeping quiet. Tamas, insensitivity also sometimes looks like detachment. People are so gross sometimes in terms of relationship, in terms of someone's emotions. They look detached. So what? After that, the person can be either out of vichara, out of understanding, analysis, he or she develops vairagya, out of inertia, insensitivity, or some purvajanma, he or she may be. What should be done? Then this inquiry should be made. It implies Guru Upasadanam. One has to go to a teacher. Tataha padam tat pari margita. Why? Chedanam is a process of vichara. And the thing that is to be seen, the thing that is to be known, is not something which is unknown. It is not something to be unknowable. It is known, still not known. Exactly like not seeing in spite of seeing. When we were children, those puzzles used to come in a magazine. Find out the 6 differences between 2 pictures. You are looking. First 2, 3 are very clearly seen. A is different from B. You keep looking at it, but you don't see it. Understand? That is the problem. The whole samsara is nothing but expression of the same mulam. Isha vasyam idam sarvam. It is absolutely non-separate from it. Like even the pot is not separate from the clay. But I see only the pot and not the clay. This is a peculiar problem. And therefore, one needs to go to teacher. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayat. Mundaka Upanishad mantra. That is asanga sastrena dradena chitva. Then what? Tastad parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayat tad vignanartham gurumeva vikachet. That is this shloka. Tataha padam tat parimargitavyam. Gita is essence of Upanishad. Upanishadic mantras are told in different words. This Mundaka Upanishad mantra is talked about here in these two shlokas. Teacher is necessary. Yesterday also I told you for 2-3 reasons. One, the very person who is looking for the self, he himself is a self. The very karta, bhokta, drashta, shrota, manta, everything is superimposed upon that consciousness. Secondly, other point is, the whole Shastra is in the form of words. See, the means of knowledge is only Shabda, words, because what I am looking for is myself. Like our 10th man story. The 10th man is looking for himself. So no mirror can help him. Even if he is looking into mirror, somebody has to tell him, hey, you are that. That will not work. So some Shabda is a Pramanam, but that Atma, which is talked about by the Shastra, is, listen the sentence, is describable not by any word and by all the words. It is beyond words, as well as all the words are nothing but its expression. Why? Since it's Nirgunam, you cannot describe it by words, and since the whole Jagat is manifestation of it is there. So situation is very precarious. Simply studying by myself, Atma is Nitya, eternal, Atma is consciousness, Atma is bliss. It doesn't make the person wise, because that eternal word is not like umbrella or table or clip. When I say clip, yeah, you know this is a clip. When I say mic, you know this is a mic. When I say table, you know this is a table. When I say eternal, there is no eternal available. When I say consciousness, there is no consciousness available. And the Ananda, they translate as bliss. Problem, language problem. Where is bliss? Not available. So the teacher's job is very precarious. Unknown words are to be communicated through known words. If simply teacher says Atma is Satchidananda, eternal consciousness, bliss, student doesn't become wiser. They were already unknown. And if some known words are used, Atma is mic, table, clip, then also doesn't become wiser. Because the known meaning was there with me, and I do not know Atma. I do not know that Brahman. So proper context has to be built up. The known meanings of the words have to be negated, and the student has to be led to the unknown. We shall see this come. It will come in after 2-3 verses. Not understanding this, people talk about experiencing the self. They say you should have a direct knowledge of the self, as though 240 volt current. Direct knowledge. What is indirect, direct? So the teacher, when it is in the form of the words, any communication or any knowledge in the form of the words always lends itself for not understanding or misunderstanding. Forget about this Atma. Just look at the newspaper headlines. A dignitary, leader of the opposition taking a press conference. or future Prime Minister of India giving a lot of public sabha, he talked. Every newspaper has a different headline. Every newspaper has interpreted differently. Subjectivity is always there. So you need a teacher who knows how to handle the words. Simply reading Shastra will not enlighten. By doing oneself, he or she may tend to looking for, some Atma will come someday. Someday I will realize. Because the orientation of experiencing doesn't go. It is there inbuilt. And we keep listening the katha. Bhagavan came and gave darshan. But that is in a given form. I am talking about the formless. That is you. And that being a case, tataha implies going to a competent teacher who had the similar exposure, traditional exposure. Therefore, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. A teacher who knows the truth and knows the methodology of talking, going to teach. This being apaurusha jnanam, and the ego himself is a culprit. And that culprit, if given, does a self-inquiry. Like our ministers are the members of the inquiry commission, inquiring the scandal committed by them. Like this Adarsh Kauband, Bombay one. They will never say that I am guilty. Then they will put the blame on some officers. And assembly also will pass, they accept the report. The ego, if does by himself, will never he will always justify its own existence. Therefore, not only teacher, but surrendering to teacher also is necessary. Shraddha. Ego is put in a witness box. That Shraddha makes ego available to be in the witness box. Available to be cross-examined. Otherwise ego will never go into it because he is a lawyer to justify himself. And tataha means, the vidhi is there means search for a good teacher. Now the question may come, Swamiji, how do we know good teacher? Sadguru. And in English, Sadguru, sometimes it is sad guru. How do we know sad guru? Typical pronunciation. How do we know he is a Shrotriyam and Brahmanishtam? First of all, to know other person as Brahmanishtam, you have to become Brahmanishtam. Then only you can know. What is Brahman, you should know. Then you can know whether the other person is Brahmanist or not. If I know Brahman, then I am already Brahmanist. If I am already Brahmanist, I don't need Guru. I can be Guru myself. How can I know? And Shrotriyam also, how do I know? This is where two parameters can be there. One, you should see that he teaches the Shastra only. Okay. Nowadays, Indian spirituality is becoming like Indian politics. Every leader has his own party. Every guru has his own tradition. There is no tradition, only one tradition. The Shrotriyatvam means one who teaches Shastra. And when you learn from him, naturally you keep the intellect open, can understand that he is a Shrotriyacharya. And how do we know he is a Brahmanist or not? The one who doesn't have any agenda. That also you can make out. Brahmanista means vihaya kaman sarvan apurya madam vachala pratishtam. The person who is free, the person who is a giver, who has a heart to give, and knowing he wants, that sense of fullness is there. To that teacher, parimargitavya, one should look for first such a teacher and then seek this knowledge also. Because na prushtaya, if the student doesn't ask, one should not give. So one should express willingness to learn. That is what questioning. Pranipata pariprashna. So parimargitavyam implies look for a teacher, express your willingness to learn, and then study from the teacher. What? Tat padam. That padam. Which padam? Yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuya. Having gone to which you do not come back. Now, just one point lastly. Please understand this thing. Very clearly remember this. Wherever gatyartha dhatavaha, when the verbs implying the movement are used in Shastra, gatyartha dhatavaha are for gnanarthe. They imply knowledge, not gati. Okay? In Sanskrit, there is a freedom to use such verbs implying knowledge. So, yasmin gataha means yad gnatva, having known which, gata not going, having known. I will explain this further in the next class. But having known which, na nivartanti bhuyaha. They do not return back to this samsara. How? Who comes to samsara? That jivatma, that ego. And that knowledge dismisses that whole ego. Mithyatvam is realized and the ego is finished. Therefore there is no rebirth, means no birth and death cycle for such wise men. They become free from this cycle. Who yat gnatva na nivartanti bhuya. And what is that to be known? That second line says, Tameva chadyam purusham prapadde yatah pravrittif prasiddha purani. We shall discuss that point in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo